The Chief Justice urges Barbadians not to surrender in the face of the current economic crisis. Local employers told to desist from overlooking the elderly for jobs. And in sports, police take the Sagicor Shield.
Credible, balanced, committed. This is the CBC Evening News.
Good evening to you. I'm Sophia Cambridge with this Sunday, October 2nd edition of the CBC Evening News. In our top story tonight, Barbadians are being urged not to surrender or to give up in the face of the economic crisis which is affecting the island and the globe. The advice has come from Chief Justice Marston Gibson at the 51st Lions Charter Night dinner and presentation of awards at the Ammon Beach Village at Haywoods in St. Peter. Mr. Gibson says there's prevailing negativity about the current economic crisis and the circumstances in which we find ourselves. But he says this too shall pass, noting that better days are coming and we should prepare to capitalize on the opportunities when improvements are made to the economy.
Even as we are troubled by an economic downturn which precludes a lot of the benefits that we wish to give, understand that we are still driven by that vision of Melvin Jones to help somebody other than ourselves. And as long as we are driven by that vision, we will never give up. We will never surrender.
Mr. Gibson has also urged the Lions to reach out to the younger people, especially the Leos, who he says are the future. This as he urged them to bridge the gap between the elderly and the youth in society.
First, the challenge of working through this economic downturn so that at the end of it we come out the better for the experience. And the second challenge is to continue reaching out to our Leos and continue reaching out to young people and trying to involve them in the idea of service as fun.
A warning tonight to local employers not to adopt a discriminatory approach when older persons apply for jobs. It's coming from MP for St. Michael South East, Hamilton Lashley. Mr. Lashley says from feedback he's received, there's still too many cases where senior citizens are overlooked because of their age. He says it's an issue which primarily affects women who are aged 45 and over.
I feel it's a wrong thing to discriminate against any person in Barbados based upon their age. We have a problem in Barbados among women too, between the ages of when they get 40, 48, and in their 50s, nobody don't want to employ them. They're too old. And therefore, to discriminate against anybody in this country to violate based upon age is a serious violation of their constitutional rights.
Mr. Lashley was addressing a seminar on the elderly hosted for members of the St. Michael South East constituency branch of the Democratic Labour Party. There, he announced that the White Paper on Ageing will be brought before Parliament by year end. He's called for its introduction as a matter of urgency to protect the elderly in Barbados. According to him, the rights of many senior citizens continue to be abused on a daily basis, with several of them suffering in silence.
You have in Barbados serious problems as it relates to family members who are taking advantage of their own elderly mothers, fathers, grandmothers, etc. You want me to, I will spell them out for you. Sometimes they change the welfare checks or the pension checks and the money don't come back. Some of them are beaten in their homes by family members who should know better. And in some cases, like in the first, then abandoned and left alone.
What is happening to the Joris Dunner home? That's the question that residents of the Pine in St. Michael have been putting to MP for the area, Hamilton Lashley. They're concerned that the facility, once a designated home for the elderly, is being allowed to run to ruin. Shane Seeley has more.
This is the Joris Dunner home, and when it was first built, it was dedicated to care of the elderly. Now the facility has fallen into a state of disrepair and is a night shelter for the homeless. Residents have expressed concern about the situation, which MP for the area, Hamilton Lashley, says will be addressed.
The George Dana Senior Citizens Home was scheduled to be repaired earlier this year. The repair process was supposed to be completed. I understand that there are some challenges. The residents of the immediate area are complaining about the persons who are presently occupying the George Dana home. The residents themselves cannot wait to have them relocated, because they don't want to see them on the streets, to another facility where they could be looked after on a more holistic basis.
Outside of fixing the home, Mr. Lashley says the residents are also calling for further development of the Golden Rock area.
What the residents are also proposing, that adjacent to the George Dana Senior Citizens Home, that it also be turned into a small business complex, and that part of that entire area be redeveloped, because right now it's very unsightly, very untidily kept, and people are beginning to feel, a sense of lower esteem.
Now, Mr. Lashley has promised the residents that all proposals will be forwarded to the National Assistance Board, and that entity will eventually determine any action to be taken in this regard. I'm Shane Seeley for CBC News.
The Barbados Water Authority appears to be charting a new path. In this regard, it's taken out a paid advertisement in the media inviting applications for several senior posts. The jobs include Director of Human Resources, Management and Development, Manager of Administration, Project Manager, Marketing and Corporate Communications, and Director of Procurement. The press ads say that the BWA is currently engaged in several capital works projects and is changing a number of its systems in a bid to modernize its operations. The BWA has a staff complement of over 800 spread across the island. Dreadfully sad news now. The Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation is tonight mourning the loss of one of its stalwarts. Dead is our chief technician at the corporation, Pastor Victor Leach. Pastor Leach, the long-standing host of the program Time to Sing, passed away just after 9 last evening at his home after suffering a brief illness. TV director at the CBC, Cecilia Elliott-Aline, who's also a long-standing friend of Pastor Leach, stressed that he was a dedicated worker and a friend.
I think the CBC family really has experienced a lot of tests this year. We continue to do so. And Victor is one of the people who stood with us when we lost our mothers, our fathers, various members of our family, when we had our own other tests professionally as well. And Victor is one of the people who really was very strong. You could always count on him. And whatever problem we were facing technically, once you called Victor, he was one of those people always willing to come. Nothing was too much trouble. And really, when there's love, nothing is too much trouble.
Pastor Leach joined the corporation in May 1988, spending 23 years in the engineering department. Acting General Manager at the CBC, Rod London, expressed sadness at the news of his death, noting that Pastor Leach was an exemplary employee.
We at the CBC are deeply saddened at the news of Pastor Leach's passing. We want to extend our deepest and sincerest condolences to his wife and children and his family. Victor would be sorely missed at the CBC. He was a good person, excellent worker, and very loyal to the organization, and we will certainly miss him.
Police officers are being told to conduct themselves in an ethical manner. The advice is coming from Acting Officer in charge of the Criminal Investigation Division of the Royal Barbados Police Force, Superintendent Livingston Eversley. He says police officers need to understand that how they treat others is not only a reflection on them, but on the entire force.
I encourage you that in your quest to solve crime, that you will remember that ours is a charge to uphold the rights of all citizens, including those who offend the law. Let me further remind you that the law we police are the same laws that also regulate us.
Superintendent Eversley was speaking during the closing ceremony of a basic criminal investigation course at the Regional Police Training Centre. 20 officers from the police force and 12 security officers from the University of the West Indies Cave Hill campus took part in the course. Commandant at the centre, Euclid Thompson, told participants that to be successful detectives, they must look at their own personal image and conform to best practice.
You must be prepared to work long hours, especially when there's a need to stay on the trail of suspects and accused. And you must adhere to the principles of law and procedure laid down in such matters, the Constitution, the judge's rules, criminal court procedure. You would have gathered much of that yesterday if you're moot court. And force policy and procedure that relates to the Barbadian police officers.
A birthday celebration at Shell's Speightstown as it marked its first year under the new management of the Sol Company Limited. On Friday, there was a hive of activity full of giveaways to loyal customers and top-performing staff. Customers received fuel giveaways, free products, product samples and free car wash services. Present was Senator and DLP candidate for St. Peter, Hainsley Ben. He used the opportunity to make a donation to the community football club. He says the occasion was a special one for the St. Peter family, but most importantly a celebration for 3 young entrepreneurs.
Most importantly, I want to say congratulations to the management. First anniversary, and when I came and I saw 2 young men and a young sister, these 3 people could have been writing letters and writing applications to work at somebody else. And it gives me a lot of encouragement to see young people as owners, even if it is ownership of a franchise. It gives me great encouragement to know that young people are motivated enough to want to be their own bosses.
Retailer for Shell Speightstown, David Simpson, says the journey has been a long one, but worthwhile.
It is an interesting experience. It has been operating a franchise on behalf of Sol. It's been challenging at times, but I think we've also learned a lot from it, and we do enjoy what we do here, interacting with the customers and making sure that their needs are met on a daily basis, from buying your early morning papers to your coffee to coming to getting your bread on weekends for school, for work, whatever. We appreciate all of our customers, and we just wanted to say thank you with some giveaways and interacting with the customers and management of some of our charge account customers and that kind of thing.